Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are Irenicast. I'm Jeff.
My name is Alan.
I'm Bonnie.
I'm Casey.
This is Raj.
On the first and third Tuesday of every month,
We bring to you our perspectives
On theology and culture.
From a post-evangelical lens.
Thank you for joining us for another conversation to provoke your progressive Christian imagination. This week, we're starting the journey down whatever this is going to become. And this is a special episode, not because of the day in which it's posting, not because we're celebrating any anniversary, but because for the second time in the history of this team, we are in the same room together, having fun, hanging out. And we thought because we would do that, we would celebrate the roundtable format. Because when we first all met, myself, Alan, Bonnie, Raj, and Casey, it was for an Intersections Roundtable that we did for episode 133. And we just heard everyone's story about what intersections was going on and stuff like that. So since this is an evolving of intersections that brought this team together and stuff like that, we figured we'd revisit the roundtable format. So we do not have a segment. This isn't the usual format for our show, but this week we are going to be asking each other some questions that we don't know what those questions are. And it's going to start fun and it's going to get real vulnerable. And just for the record, I did not vote for this. And I don't know how I feel about this. And I don't know how excited or unexcited I am about this, but we're just going to go with it and let you all enjoy everything that's going to happen. So Casey came up with this idea, and I love him and hate him for it. Casey, explain to us exactly.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I was the one who came up with the idea. Yes.
Casey, explain to us exactly
what. No, I'm serious.
I don't
I'm the
think
one
so.
who was like, we should all ask each other questions for this episode. I was super stoked.
Right. But then Casey championed the format.
I'm not saying that, it's important that my name gets put on it, but I think it's pretty important.
I think we're past that.
Casey, explain to us how the flow of the rest of this episode is going to go.
Yeah, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to go around and each person is going to be sort of in the hot seat. This is like Youth Group 101, right? And so one person will be in the hot seat and we're going to start with asking really lighthearted, fun questions of each other. And then the next round will be a more serious heart-to-heart sort of vulnerable question. And so, so that's what we're going to do.
That sounds fun. So who wants to start this? Who wants to be in the hot seat first? I'm electing to go last.
Can we nominate somebody?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, let's,
on the island.
I say we nominate
Alan.
There we go.
I second.
It was your idea after all.
Yeah,
it was your idea.
It was your idea.
Yeah.
So model towards good leadership.
Yes.
Yeah, I think questions are great.
All right. So then I'll go first. Alan.
Cool.
And just to clarify, this is going to be a lighthearted, fun,
That's right.
surface level, what you would ask someone you just met at a dinner party kind of question.
Name your favorite worship song.
Did we say that we're all in the same room? We did say that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking in all of your eyes when I'm answering
That's
these
right.
questions. Kind of.
So look me in the
intimate.
eye and
Just
answer.
to verbalize that
I'm gonna
makes
look
it
you-
really weird.
What?
I don't care. I don't care if it makes it weird. This is important for me.
Alan,
I'll
what
look in
is
your
your
eyes.
You can
favorite
break the
worship
gaze
song?
now.
What is my favorite worship song?
Yeah.
My favorite worship song is Be Thou My Vision. And it's not only, I discovered after the fact that it was Irish. It was an Irish song. So
Wow.
it was kind of crazy that it connected to my roots. But I would say out of all the songs I've ever sung for worship, that would be my favorite.
And how does that go?
There you go.
Yeah, can you sing that for us?
It's really beautiful.
Oh,
You should
got
hear
it.
it sometime.
So why don't we just go this way?
We'll put a link in the show notes.
I will say I did sing it while kayaking on the Sacramento River. So that's, I'm not afraid to sing it, but I'm not going to grace your ears with that right now. So who goes next?
Jeff.
Oh, we're going clockwise.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your question? Is it the same question?
No,
You
you
asked
ask him.
Alan
Oh,
a
he's
question.
in the hot seat.
That's right.
I'm already confused.
No, you got that.
It's because it wasn't my idea, so I didn't.
Okay, all right. I get it.
All right, so this is hard. We talked about this before we recorded. Alan and I have known each other
12 or 13 years, something like
let's
that.
just say forever. And so I'm trying to come up with things. And so if these questions come off weird, then deal with it. But I'm curious. So this is surface level question. Is Alan, before a big event where you are visible to the world, whether that's a Sunday morning, although now it doesn't really do anything because you'll find out when I ask a question, but how many times do you change your clothes before stepping outside the door?
That's a good question.
And the only reason I say it didn't matter now because you wear a robe. So
Well, sometimes I don't.
Oh,
So it does matter because I'm kind of
Okay,
trying to figure that stuff out. Wow, that's a vulnerable question. I would say probably at least 2 or 3 times.
okay.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, that's probably it. And then I go back to what I was going to wear originally anyway.
Right.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Wow,
Wow. Thanks,
that's good.
Jeff. Yeah. I feel like I know a lot about you, Alan, but one very important thing I don't know about you, and I should. And that is, what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh my gosh, that's
I-
a good question.
I don't really like dessert that much, to be honest.
There's no ice cream that you like.
But there is one ice cream flavor, I guess I would say, above the rest when I was a kid. I like Rite Aids and stuff. And that would be chocolate chip cookie dough
Okay.
would be my favorite.
All right. Thank you.
I like eating raw cookie dough. It's good.
Thank you.
I'm just a little stunned with that. I
Right.
don't like dessert.
Yeah, I don't really like dessert. I would have more of whatever.
He's a savory gentleman. As opposed to
A savory deli.
Savory
I'd
deli.
have more of whatever the main dish is rather than having like dessert or whatever.
All right, so this is pretty easy. What's your current gym goal?
My current gym goal, to lose weight. No, my current gym goal is to actually just show up every day.
Ooh, that's
I
a good
think
one.
I spent almost a year lifting every single day, and maybe more than a year. I was lifting like 5 times a week, and then lately in my CPE working at the hospital, I haven't had time to go, and I've gotten sick every time I've gone. So it's been about 3 months, and I went back and lifted, and I hurt my sciatica. You know, like that like nerve that
You're
goes
over
down
30.
from your lower.
It's the
I know,
worst.
right? It's like I turned 31, and
Yeah,
it's like
yes, I
congratulations,
hear you, brother
Alan.
man. Yep.
Here's what it means to be a human. And I felt it every single day for like 2 months now, and it has been killing me. So I think that's a combination
Stretching.
of non-use,
yoga.
and then jumping back into it kind of ruined it. So my goal is to just show up every single day that I can
Right on.
for a long time.
All right.
Wow. Who's next?
Okay.
Casey.
Here we go. Now
Well, we're asking
this
you
round.
questions, though.
Oh. Okay.
We-
you're
yeah.
asking-
This is round one still. So this is
Oh,
your
round one.
This is round one for Casey.
We're asking you
Okay,
the-
here we
So I guess
go.
Casey didn't come up with this idea.
anyways.
And Jeff, you can ask him first, and then we'll
Yeah.
go.
Right.
first.
So yeah, we'll keep,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
keep the. So this is a simple question. Casey, what's your jam?
My jam.
The song that you always
Yes,
go back to.
Yes. Nobody by Keith Sweat.
What? Keith Sweat? I haven't heard that in
Yeah,
years.
so
That's
90s
amazing.
slow
Oh,
jams
yeah.
are like my thing.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't know that about me. I love 90s slow jams. So Keith Sweat's Nobody is like my song. I love it. It's so inappropriate, and I think that's why I love it so
All of
much.
Keith Sweat.
Yeah,
stuff.
I love
Let me
it.
look at his name.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Cool.
I'm gonna get you a Boyz II Men CD.
I probably have it.
Okay, Casey. My question is, if you could get lost anywhere in the world, where would it be?
So you all know that I lived in India, and one of my favorite things to do would be to take a rickshaw into Bangalore, which is where I lived, and just basically get lost there. And then, because I knew the rickshaw drivers are everywhere, so I could always find my way back, home. And so that was always one of my favorite things, is just walking through markets and just the smell of the incense, the call from the mosque. Those are really sacred times for me. And so I would do that over and over and over again if I could. Yeah.
It's a great place to get lost and easy to get lost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice. Casey, when you were a teenager, who was your top celebrity crush?
Oh my God. Heath Ledger.
Hey, that's a good one.
I
10 Things I Hate About You or Joker?
or Knight's Tale, because that
Yeah.
was a good.
yeah.
Knight's Tale. Okay.
Heath Ledger was so hot, and he was also Australian, right? So he had that accent, and it was, he was gorgeous.
I was cheating, but who's your current celebrity crush?
Ooh,
Oh,
it's getting more salacious by the minute.
you're right. Channing Tatum is one of
Wow.
my favorites. Yeah.
Mine's The Rock.
And
Yeah, the Rock guy.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Cristiano
Pretty
Ronaldo
attractive.
also. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So next is wait. I'm asking you
You
a
have to
question.
ask.
You got one.
Casey, what is your next tattoo?
My next tattoo is a silhouette of Peter Pan and Wendy and all the kids flying, and then it's gonna say, "Always searching for the number 4 Neverland." because that connects to the Enneagram. Peter Pan is like my favorite Disney character. And I feel like 4s are always lost in that place of looking for Neverland. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Cool.
What's your current tattoo? I know
He
that
has
I see
tons
the
of
one on your
tattoos.
arm.
So
I
I
didn't know
have-
you had
I didn't know
tons.
he was going to get a new one. I just figured you would.
I think this
Yeah.
is
I know
just
you.
now I'm just going to ask a bunch of questions.
It's fine. This is good.
Screw the format. I want to know.
So this one says repent, resist, receive, repeat. And that comes from the Radical Orthodox, John Milbank. Repent from sin, resist capitalism and the devil, receive God's grace, and repeat love in the world.
And this is on his inner forearm for those
Yep.
of you that are
And then
just listening.
on my left calf, I have a cross with a peace sign that says new creation. And I got that when I came out. And I got that because I spent so much time in coffee shops with evangelicals who are asking me to quote scripture to prove that I could be gay and still loved. And so I always started with, I am a new creation in Christ Jesus. And basically, mind your own damn business.
That's a good one.
I like it.
Yep.
It's good.
So Jeff's turn to be on the hot seat.
In the hot seat.
This is the worst.
All right,
Okay.
Bonnie, here we go.
All right. So question. Where is the first place you go at the fair?
Food,
Really? And what do you like to eat there?
funnel cake
Mm.
with custard on top.
Yeah, it's so good.
Food for sure. Like,
Is there anywhere at the fair but food?
That's the only reason I go to
One
the
of
fair. Is because I really don't like anything else about it. But the food, I want something deep fried and sweet,
Yes.
and that's where I'm the opposite with Alan. My meal is the dessert, and then maybe I'll have a corn dog.
Right.
So what's your favorite ice cream flavor then? I should have asked you.
Salted caramel.
Ooh.
Good one.
Well, I feel betrayed.
Sorry. I picked the wrong question.
Spoiler. That's the question I picked for you.
All right, Jeff. Why have you not watched Road to Edmond?
Oh, my goodness.
Raj, you've been trying to sneak that in, dude. It's wonderful.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He pleads.
Well, there's this
He pleads the
movie.
fifth. He pleads the fifth.
That was
Wow.
pretty punky.
The
Call
look,
out
the look you're
culture.
giving me right now is so
He's so
great.
uncomfortable.
I feel like we need to invite people in if we're going to throw that out there.
Right?
And then I wonder if we should.
Maybe
Just
that
because-
awkward silence is answer enough.
Yeah. Some things are problematic, and that's okay, right?
And some
Right.
things are just crap.
Let's just say that the reason I don't watch any film is because I have incredibly high and low standards. So when I engage film, I've lost the ability to engage most film from just sitting and enjoying it, unless I'm going with that purpose. So like a popcorn movie, like Skyscraper with The Rock, like I'm going in knowing whatever. But if I go expecting to like have an engagement to the thing, like I look at every single layer of it, and I actually have a hard time with documentary style things paying attention unless the thing is really compelling, although that's getting better. So
That's the most diplomatic answer I've ever heard.
That's
Right.
such a good answer.
so to me,
way to
if it's just coming from a site whose primary talent is not filmmaking, it's hard for me to bring myself to watch something like that unless I know the people involved directly.
Well put.
Wow.
Politician.
So good.
Diplomacy.
Yeah.
Love it. Cool. So your next question.
I'm still getting dirty looks.
How dare you? Your next question. I know you. It is really weird asking you questions like this. Having done the podcast for like 3 or 4 years now with you and knew you my whole adult life. What is the weirdest pronunciation of your last name you've ever heard?
That's a good question. That's funny.
That's a really good question, actually, because my name is constantly butchered.
Right. And
Even though it's very
what
phonetic, if you look at it.
it's super easy.
Yeah.
like
Man-il-D. Like
Right.
it's super phonetic.
Manildi. But I've heard kind of some weird stuff out there, and I'm wondering what's the weirdest one you've heard that you can remember.
It's hard to nail down the weirdest, but I've had Manphilly. I don't even know where the
Wow.
F came
Wow.
from. Like what the F? Like it was I don't even remember how it was pronounced. It was pronounced so bad at my high school graduation that I was still standing there for like 30 seconds after they called my name because I didn't know they called my name. And someone was like, that's you.
Just like Trump when he was called out to the stage and he was kind of wandering around.
Well, I was just standing there and it was like everything went to a halt because they totally mispronounced my name. And they're like, that's you. I was like, what? It is? And then I just walked up and, grabbed the diploma. So my name is butchered all the time.
Okay, so Manphilly.
But adding extra letters takes the cake.
Well, there's extra that happens all the time. Like I hear Minaldi a lot.
Minaldi's the most common.
Minaldi.
In fact, I've never worked for a pastor that has not pronounced my name Minaldi. Every single one. Every single boss that I've ever had has mispronounced my last name.
It's just fascinating.
And do you correct people?
Not anymore. It's just I'm done.
He's above it.
It's like whatever.
He's like, it's actually Manphilly.
It's Manphilly.
All right, Bonnie, it's your turn.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So
I guess it's even harder for Raj to.
this is a bit of a challenge. So one of the things about you is early on in our relationship, I would try to figure out stuff that you liked, and I would show up and make a suggestion, and you're like, "Oh, I don't like that today." I was like, "Yesterday was your favorite thing." Like, yeah. And then your phrase is, "I like what I like when I like it." So it makes things complicated.
I like that.
Wow.
That's good stuff.
Wow.
That was when I was 18.
So my question is, some things change,
yeah.
some things don't. So my question is, what's your longest running favorite food?
I love that qualification. Which thing has had the most weeks in the top spot?
The question would make no sense if it wasn't for the explanation, right?
My longest running favorite food. And it's interesting that this is such a hard question to answer because I don't know really. It depends on what the day is.
Chick fry.
No.
Fried chick.
Fried chick.
Chick
No.
your Seventh-day
Not
Adventist
that.
stuff. No.
Probably macaroni and cheese. Because there's so many variations of macaroni and cheese.
All right.
Good
So,
choice.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
Solid.
Don't disrupt the purist over here.
She threw out the word variation.
Yeah, I know.
Totally dodged the question.
Yeah.
No. Okay, Bonnie, this is the weirdest question. I had an easy time asking a deep question of you, but a hard time asking like a surface
Me too.
level
That's what I was
question.
talking about earlier.
So weird. So my question for you is totally random. What is your favorite insect?
My favorite insect? Oh,
Yeah.
praying mantis.
Raj,
think
you were
they're
like, what kind of question is that? Hey, she knew it right away.
I
Look
know.
at her face.
It's like, how do you know that and not your longest running favorite food?
Yeah. I don't
Praying
know.
mantises are awesome.
They're
Manti?
super awesome.
Is it manti or mantises?
Mantises, I think. I'm not sure. We should look that up.
It's gross.
But
Bugs. So who cares?
they're super cool. Like watching them
Yeah,
is
they are
like
super cool.
watching God.
Yeah.
Really. They're so. Anyway.
Last summer we
I
had
love
some in our
insects.
yard. and
I love
loved it.
insects.
You really do.
Hmm.
I don't know how I knew that about you.
There are a
We've
lot
never
of
talked
things
about
that we
before.
say on the podcast that quote from everyone, like one of our episodes where Casey said race is experiential and I just connect with it. And then there are things that I am so disconnected from that they almost seem like a different language. And to say watching insects is like watching God is at the top of that list.
That's not your theology at all.
I'm with you. I'm
Yeah.
with you.
And-
My heart
and
connects to
plus-
Stomp on God.
Bees.
Yeah. Plus, butterflies are insects, and that my spiritual journey is so connected to that metamorphosis experience.
Yeah.
So
I feel bad.
it's okay. It's okay. Maybe you'll develop an
Mine
appreciation
was-
for insects someday. It's okay.
Mine was like a praying mantis. I had to bite the head off of the old order of my religious world
Right.
to survive.
So, Bonnie,
Anyway,
if you were a food, what kind of food would you be?
If I was a food, I would probably be
And you're not macaroni and cheese.
no
Don't even.
salted caramel.
Okay.
I think I think I often occupy spaces where there's multiple
Yeah.
things going on. So salty and sweet.
Yeah.
Aww.
Salty and sweet is the best. All right, Bonnie, what is your favorite type of media to consume? Music, film, book?
Book. Yeah. I love novels. I could get lost in a corner with a novel and be happy for days.
I almost asked you what your favorite
So-
novel was recently. I was this close.
My favorite.
Have you read a book recently where you're like, wow, that was just really good? Or is novel's
Yeah. All the Light We Cannot See. I think that's
on
the
my
name
list
of
of
it.
stuff to
Oh
read.
my God.
Yes,
it's
I heard it was
so
amazing.
good.
Oh my
So
goodness.
good.
It's been on my list forever.
Yeah. I recommend that to everybody. I can't remember the author's name, but really good book.
Sweet. I'm excited. We talked about books and insects in the span of like a minute, so I'm high on life right now.
All right, Raj, let's
Okay, it's
All right.
Raj's turn.
I'm nervous.
All right, Raj.
It's all fun and games, so it's your
Till
time.
That's right.
What was your favorite age?
Oh man.
That's a good one.
That's a great question.
I mean, I'm tempted to say now, but
That's always a good
that's,
answer.
I don't know. But barring now and like yesterday, I think I would have to say 16, and it's because I struggled with pretty significant depression and a sense of isolation in middle school, and then something around that 16-year-old mark, I was just like, screw this. I am so sick and tired of worrying about what everybody thinks, and like, I'm just going to enjoy life. I just I don't know what it was. I just made a decision to show up and have a great time. And it really helped. It helped shape the next few years of my life, and kind of saw me through high school. And in reflection, it wasn't the most mature approach to life. But yeah, it was a marked change from childhood into adolescence.
Raj, how are you more like the ocean or the desert?
Ooh, I love the desert. And how I'm more like it, I don't know. I mean, the ocean kind of easy, I think. Everyone loves the ocean, but the desert, I think there's a lot of natural beauty in the desert. It might take a little more stillness to observe, and it's resilient. The natural beauty in the desert is resilient. And probably my favorite part about the desert is the light. The light does things in that space that it doesn't do anywhere else in the world. So,
Thank you.
oh, just like going to get me back.
No. I'm going to be nice and ask a fun question and not get all contemplative about nature. What is your favorite thing to cook?
Ooh.
Bacon.
Oh.
I love frying bacon.
You do. You had that Instagram picture for our previous episode where you had some pretty big, gnarly cuts of bacon on your avocado toast.
If anyone's like, yeah, what should we add to this dish? I know. Bacon. And I'll fry it up for you.
Very nice. Crispy, or do you like it a little bit?
You know, I like the edges crispy, but I like a little chewy.
He's a complicated man, just like the desert.
It's true.
Right.
I've grown accustomed to baking my bacon because you can get more of it done at the same time, and it gets done to perfection.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or you sous vide it the night before, let it sit all overnight, and then just get a crust.
But it doesn't
but the
smell
sizzle,
as good.
you know, you miss the sizzle. The other thing that I love doing with bacon grease is grilled cheese in the bacon grease.
Oh, yeah. You got to use that bacon
the
grease
best.
for
What?
everything.
I've
Yeah.
never experienced this.
Throw the grilled cheese,
Oh my
throw the
God.
bacon in the grilled cheese sandwich, use the bacon
Wow.
grease to fry up your
There you
sandwich. It's good.
It's very
Can't
good.
hear you. All the blood to my ears stopped because of all the cholesterol.
So good. You don't eat it every day, but
You've offended the occasional vegan.
Let's hope then.
That should be my
That should be your
moniker for
tagline.
the occasional vegan.
I am totally.
Yeah, wasn't that gonna be last
People-
year?
Look, I have to,
No,
when,
I've
when
been doing
I'm
this for
planning
years,
lunch for
man.
Alan, I'm always like, I have to ask because
You
I
know,
don't.
What is it this
my
month?
family-
That's right.
My family and my church hate me for that reason.
Yeah,
honestly.
that's-
And you know what? I tell them I have the right to stick whatever in my mouth I want to. Right?
Right.
Why did you look at Casey when you said that?
Exactly.
Because he's the one
In
angry
fact,
at me.
everybody was looking at me. Everybody was looking at me.
Because you're the one that says you have to always check. You were the one upset at me.
Oh,
It
God.
has nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah.
So who's on the hot seat again?
I think I
Anyway.
still am, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because Casey,
Yep.
did you just ask a question of his?
You asked, and then
And then now it's Bonnie's. Bonnie's
Yeah.
asking a question of Raj.
Oh, that's
Okay,
right.
so-
Yeah, I totally lost track.
Oh, right. Yeah. What do you like to cook? There.
All right. So it's so interesting that we thought of a similar type question, because I experience you also as having evolving, things that you like.
Mm-hmm.
What he
So-
likes, when he likes it.
What he likes, when he likes it, and it changes. Yeah. So what is your favorite song as of today?
Ooh.
Oh, man. That's the one thing there's a lot of gray area in.
yeah.
Or there's a lot of fluidity in is music today.
What has crispy edges and that soft interior?
I've been listening to a lot of the Isley Brothers lately, so It's Your Thing. Today, It's Your Thing is
And
my
how does that
favorite
go?
song. It's your thing. Do what you want to do.
I love that.
I should tell you who to sock it to.
Yes.
I'm going to listen to that because that sounds good.
Oh, you haven't heard that song?
I might have.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, my God.
We're not going to stop and play it right now.
Okay, all right. But right after the show, we're jamming to that song.
All right, so
Cool.
that now Alan's
that's
in the
complete.
hot seat, right?
Yeah,
No.
now we go to the deep
Now
questions.
we go to the
go.
deep
Here
questions.
we
We've
go.
gone full circle, huh?
Alan's on the seat for deep questions.
All
I'll
right.
try to answer them.
Should we?
in
Do you want to
timely
go
fashion.
this way now?
Yeah, let's
No.
go counter.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go counter.
Yeah. Counterintuitive.
All right, Alan. We've had lots of great conversations.
Sure.
So this one, all right, well, we're going deep.
Had.
Right. Depending
What
upon.
kind of trouble arises for you as a result of being an external processor?
That's not fair. Yeah, I've been sharing some stuff I've been dealing with recently, but I've had the luck, like the honor of being able to be in a CPE group with people who have shared things with me, and some other friends who are really close who have shared things with me. And I think I get into trouble when I describe my thought process, and it takes kind of a while to get to the end of where I'm at now and how I'm feeling. And I'll begin to describe where my thought process was, and I lose people all along the way. So all they hear is that, like, I don't know. They hear things that I'm not saying because I had just something I had processed through, something that I felt inside of myself that I felt negatively about, like when I've judged someone else or something like that. And then I've come through that and undone it. And really, I realized it was something about myself, my own upbringing, but nobody gets there. They just kind of stick. Not just that, we have the running joke that, I'm kind of the Tobias Funke of the group. And I'm realizing more often now that, like, I'll start a thought and then stop at the most inappropriate times. But, yeah, I would definitely say, you said, what are the challenges? Is that what your question was?
Challenges that have arisen.
One would be being misunderstood. Definitely. I think I'm a lot more sensitive than people realize at first. And secondly, one of the challenges has been to allow negative space for people to fill up themselves, allowing other people space, not taking on the responsibility for filling in silences, not taking on the responsibility for doing the thing that needs to be done, but just allowing people to speak and be themselves and step into that role. That's the biggest challenge, is that, I haven't always allowed other people to be who they are with me. And that's really sad for me.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
It's a good
thanks
question.
for sharing that.
Yep.
So my question is, what is your biggest learning so far in your life?
That's like the same question I have for you.
Is it?
Different
Good.
context, but yes.
Yeah.
That's really funny because I think we both care about learning a
Yeah.
lot. Like, that's one thing we share in common. What's my biggest learning in life?
Yeah.
Um,
Up to this point.
up to this point, honestly, that everything changes.
That's a good
It's something that's an old learning for me. I would say when things changed in my life and I was going through a divorce and stuff, I realized that, like, it was actually, this is kind of funny even saying this with Jeff here. there was a period of time where we didn't talk on Skype. We would just talk, or we didn't talk with video cameras or webcams. We would just talk on Skype. And I was going through all these upheavals in my life. And then we finally are going to use webcam for episode 100 or something like that. And I look at Jeff and I look at my cousin Melody, and they both look a little older in some ways. And then like suddenly I had this existential crisis. And I was like, everything changes. My family changes. Like my setting changes. The world changes. I change. And, I think that, I had such solid relationships my whole life. My family was very solid. My faith, even though it's changed a lot, there's been a solid aspect to that. And discovering that like change is one of the most constant things has been something hard to embrace, but a really good learning for me. So I'm saying it's old because it's several years old now, but I'm still coming to grips with all of that.
Yeah. Thank you.
And to go about it with a sense of adventure rather than anxiety.
Yeah, that's good.
To go about the change with a sense of adventure.
You can look at uncertainty and be like, wow, this sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can be like, wow, what am I going to learn from this? Or what am I going to discover?
Mm-hmm. So it was learning that you added on to your learning.
Yeah. Yeah, is the sense of adventure in that uncertainty.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
This was really hard to come up with, to figure out. Because, I mean, essentially we've dumped all of our deep thoughts and yearning on this podcast for the past.
And for every hour that we've recorded, there's several hours of us just like processing things together and talking deeply and sharing. So
yeah,
it's tough.
So I guess this is just more of like an internal thing. Like I know we've talked about the ideas and everything, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be connected to this theme that we've created of deconstruction and spiritual whatever. But over the years, what has been the hardest thing to let go of?
From the time when I was a kid, I would say all the way. I remember writing this in my journal in sophomore year of high school. I honestly felt if I could be perfect, my relationships would be good. I even articulated that. It was a part of my understanding of the world. And I still have a hard time letting go of the fact that even when I interact out of love, even if I was perfect, things in my relationships wouldn't be perfect. And that's been the hardest to let go. Because I was taught that, right? I was taught by my church, by everything. If you do enough and you do it well enough, then things will be good. So I really took to heart the whole putting other people's needs before your own, considering them as higher than yourself, and really this is funny because it's an Enneagram, right, Casey? My desire is to be loved.
Yep.
I think if I could just do it all just right, then my relationships and that love would come.
Right.
And yeah, that's been hard to let go of. But here, I'm letting go. Goodbye.
So this is kind of connected to what Jeff asked.
I feel like all of my answers are the same. Is that kind of weird?
How have you grown since starting this podcast?
Since starting the podcast?
Yeah, what has been your biggest growth, you feel?
I don't know. What would you say, Jeff? I can't, have you seen any differences in me since we started 4 years ago?
I think this podcast corresponds with the most significant transition in your entire life.
Yeah.
Not just ideas and thoughts, but your whole life is different from day one of this podcast to this day of your podcast.
So have I grown in that? I don't
how
even
have you grown?
Directly. I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint, but I feel older. I feel like life's a lot more messier for me now, and a lot less clear, and a lot less it's a lot more complex, and there's a beauty in that for me. God is more complex. My faith is, and I thought it was back then, but it's much more so now.
So you're learning more and more how to hold on to paradox.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Something that you rebelled against for so long.
Yes,
yeah.
I've always wanted an ism.
That's been one of our back and forth.
I needed an ism for everything. Yeah. I needed you to show your homework. You know what I mean? I've always wanted to know. Show me your logical homework to where you got to where you're at. Show me that there's no inconsistencies in your thought. And where I'm at now, definitely in a place to hold paradox a little better, and intentions and things like that. Because life is a lot like that.
You're a vintage blend.
That's so different than how I was before. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
That's good.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, everybody. I feel so loved and understood. Isn't that great?
I was like, again.
Exactly.
You can see my face.
Round two.
Yay. Secretly, that's the only reason I wanted to do this. No, I'm just kidding. Casey's up.
We're doing it.
We're going the
Raj,
other way.
counterclockwise.
Yeah. So
Raj is up.
I
Deep
go
questions.
first?
Yep.
Yeah. So I've known Raj a really long time too.
Mhm.
So you'll recognize a thread in this question based on previous conversations, but I don't know the answer today. So what I'd like to know is, what do you hope people will say about you at your funeral?
Yeah. It's an exercise that I go through at crossroads in life, which is to visualize my funeral. I'm in the box in the hole, people standing around the hole. Who do you want there, and what do you want them saying about you? And then live your life accordingly. Make the decision according to that vision.
I love you.
And so right now, I think what I'm hoping I'm living is that people will say he showed up, listened, and loved me unconditionally.
Thank you.
Thanks for showing up.
Thanks for loving me unconditionally.
Sure thing.
So my next question, I haven't had this conversation with you. I figured, what better place than a podcast that's going to be heard by, hundreds of people.
Thousands, if not.
Yeah.
Thousands.
And it's going to be kind of a spoiler. So,
of thousands.
because I just like to hear people's stories. So why Bonnie?
Ooh.
Oh, shit.
Why not Bonnie? Let's start there. Why not Bonnie?
Oh, man.
I want to take my headphones off right now.
No, and I love
Who's in
telling
the
this
hot
story.
seat?
I love telling this story. This is great.
Thanks,
okay,
Jeff.
so in high school, I dated quite a bit. And so it was my senior year of high school. I'm in church dating somebody, and we're in a room, and the room has a glass door towards one of the entrances to the church. And so my current girlfriend's back is facing that glass door in the entrance. So this new woman walks up, and I just stopped cold. Like, who is that in my head? And my girlfriend at the time is like, notices that I'm noticing something and stops and turns around. And she's like, do you know her? I was like, no, I maybe I do. I think maybe, I don't know. And so, try to regain my focus. And so after church is over, I try to find this mystery woman, and she's gone. I was like, oh man, she must, I was
But
at a
only
big
her
church.
shoe is left.
Only her shoe was left. So I'm, it's a big church in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm thinking she's just visiting, right? Lots of visitors every week. And then graduation comes. I'm dating somebody else. Summer comes, and then I start college. And one of my friends from high school, who's at the same college I'm at, she's like, hey, you got to meet these people. You got to meet Julie and Bonnie. They're so great. They're really fun. And you have a car, and we all want to go to the zoo. I'm like, yeah, okay. So we meet up after church, and it's her. Immediately, I'm like, oh, shit, that's the girl that I saw like 5 months ago or 6 months ago or whatever it was. Totally trying to play it cool underneath, And then we struck up a friendship. But I think, Jeff, to the point of your question, there's the attraction piece, which, that comes and goes. But
Bonnie's laughing over
with different individuals, right? But it has stayed with Bonnie.
I am floored.
The attraction has stayed. It has remained and intensified over time.
You
Okay,
might be
Raj.
frying your bacon somewhere else.
But the thing was, and in that conservative Christian world, the men are conditioned to relate to women in a particular way, and women are conditioned to relate to men in a particular way. And Bonnie didn't fit that mold. There was an intelligence, an intense curiosity, and unwillingness to bend to sort of the male will, not only mine, but those around us. And I was just like, that is so attractive. That is someone I want to be close to and get to know. And it just was something that, the attraction, it's like, that's a big part of why I fell in love with Bonnie, here was somebody who had a sense of purpose and identity that was different and independent of all this other stuff. And I really wanted to be linked to that. And so I would say that was the initial kernel. And it's just, I don't know, it's grown immensely and exponentially over time. And the attraction is still there. Oh my God, I can't believe I put it that way. That's so weird.
The things you never knew you'd be saying on Irenicast.
Yeah. But that's why.
Raj, how has being a dad changed you?
Yeah, it was everything. I mean, kind of in the same magnitude as when I met Bonnie, and how that altered the trajectory of my life. Being a dad was huge. I had always known I wanted to be a dad. Have a great relationship with my dad, very affectionate, nurturing person, and a lot of fun. So that was something. So, when Julian was born, that first night, I remember distinctly, actually with both boys, the first nights they were home, held both of them all night long and just watched them, kind of like in awe and amazement of life, and, kind of the wondering, so like, what are they going to be like? Are we going to play sports together? Which that didn't happen. Are they gonna love to watch sports at least? But then fatherhood, what it's allowed me is a front row seat into the unfolding of two of the most amazing human beings ever. And it also is a front row seat to witnessing how powerless you actually are to the power of to human development and process, and you can't control any of that in another person,
right? And
neither should you try to control that in another person, but you hope to contribute positively to their becoming. So fatherhood's been, and it's humbling, because I can do a lot of cool things in a lot of places in the world, and the kids are like, "Well, Dad, you're really not that smart. You're kind of a jackass." Like, So having kids is grounding, especially the kids I have, because they're brilliant, they're funny, and they're really good about holding me accountable to being a higher self. So fatherhood and being a spouse has just been monumental.
Thank you.
All right, my turn. Raj, what would being a good friend to you look like?
Ooh.
If someone wanted to be a good friend to you, what would that look like?
One of my biggest challenges is letting people be a good friend to me. I crave it. I long it, but true friendship is reciprocal. You give and you receive. And it's just hard for me to be on the receiving end. I love being on the giving end, right? So part of what a good friend is to me is somebody who's willing to offer the push that eights sometimes need to go, dude, you need to chill and let me help. I can see it. It's plain as day. And then, I think everything else, all the other ingredients of elements of what I think is a good friend is pretty universal. Trustworthiness, loyalty, fun, genuine interest, and some mutuality. They're like, I'm not always dysfunctional. They're not always lifting me up. They're not always dysfunctional. I'm not always lifting them up. There's give and take there. But that one piece where somebody that's willing to do the uncomfortable task of going, dude, snap out of it. I'm here. I got you on this one. So that's probably the one piece that I need.
Right on.
Liking this so far, everyone.
Wow, this is like the best episode ever for me. It's Bonnie's turn.
Bonnie's turn.
So for deep questions.
How are we so different, Alan, and have gone so long with this show?
I don't know.
That's
I
probably
think
why.
the difference is probably
That's probably it.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff.
What is it?
You ask Bonnie
Oh, okay.
a deep
You had a
question.
mortified look in your eye. By the way.
You're like, is it me?
Is it time?
You're
It's like, no,
next
it's not.
after
The
me.
reckoning.
So, same question. Why Raj?
I knew you were going to ask me that. Wow. When the experience that Raj recalled of when we first met, and I was 17 and he was 18 there at the church. When we finally met, I didn't know about that other experience where he saw me in the background somewhere. It was 1986 when I first met Raj, and we met on the church steps because my friend Julie was friends with somebody else. And then, we introduced us, and he was wearing a skinny piano tie.
Ooh.
Because he was known at his high school as the Piano Man.
Wow.
He wrote songs and is actually super talented musically, but hardly shows that anymore.
I asked the wrong question. I want to know more about that.
Right.
And then he was wearing white and black wingtip shoes. So he was so
You were killing it.
he was
Raj.
killing it.
Wow.
Sounds like everyone I ever saw at a ska concert.
Yeah, totally.
And so the attraction was immediate.
You guys.
Yeah, but of course I wasn't going to let that show for a long time. And then I remember we went to Burger King, I think, and so I look back on it now and I'm like, oh, such a corny experience. But and then that's where he told me that I was special. And I got this really fluttery feeling in my heart, and I still played it really cool. I didn't like him, and this, I didn't want to really hang out or whatever, but I was definitely internally very stirred up. I'll put it that way. And then I didn't have the same vision really of being a wife and a mother that Raj had of being a dad and a dad and a husband, because the world that I grew up in was so narrow. I felt like I would have had to give up so much of myself to be a wife, somebody's wife and mother. And so my vision was I want to go out and see the world. And, if I meet somebody and that works out, so be it. But I'm so not aiming for that. And then Raj just crossed my life, and I felt wow, I could still be who I meant to be and have this best friend with me all the way through. So I think that's why. And, if I hadn't have met Raj, I would probably be single.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Irenicast thanks you, Raj.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm a mom, and I love that too. So, but I like being a mom with Raj as my co-parenting partner.
Does he still have the tie?
Or the wingtip
no.
shoes.
Oh, but he does have the shirt that he wore when he held both of our boys.
Yeah.
Oh.
When they were born.
It's a U2 shirt.
The U2 one with the flower.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it was time for Nick to be born, he was like, "Where's my shirt? Where's my shirt?" And found it and wore it again.
Nice.
Bonnie, what is the good news?
The good news. The good news is, and I'm going to kind of borrow from Brené Brown. The good news is that, yes, we are wired for survival, which makes each of us sometimes act out of a base self. But we are also worthy and deserving of love.
Amen.
Yeah, I love that. That's really good.
And I think that Jesus is my guy, my guru. And I think that Jesus' life exemplified that good news.
Wired for survival, worthy of love. I like that.
I do too. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Like I said, I had the same question for you that you had for me, which is funny, but a little more. What's the thing you learned in your time in CPE?
Oh, and
CPE, for those of you who don't know, is clinical pastoral education. You may be listening to this and being like, what is that? So you work in a hospital, you go through classes, and they make you sit with suffering people and all kinds of stuff. And I'm just wondering, because Bonnie spent a whole year doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What's the thing you learned? If there's one thing.
Oh, man, there's so many things that I learned. I learned something about the role of being a pastor. And I learned a lot about what it means to be spiritual, I think, and that every human being is spiritual. But I think the most challenging learning for me was for a period of time during CPE, I took on the role of like a priest listening to confessions, deathbed confessions. And I did not ask for that. And some of them came from men who had harmed women. And I was sitting in this, next to this person's bed, and this person just needed to get it off his chest, what had happened. And I wanted to run out of the door. But I learned that I could stay, and I could hold space for the whole person, the really awful parts and also the beautiful parts. So that's what I learned about me. And I also learned that people, I used to think I could see goodness in people and just goodness. And some people I couldn't. But yet I could stay there. So I don't know what to do with that learning sometimes, but I learned that.
That's so good. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's not how I would
love
describe
that.
so good, but I mean, that's intense. That's like
having done
right.
done
for
some
sure.
of that for the last like 3 months. I feel
yeah. It's
just hearing about that scenario makes me like,
no, I totally experienced the same thing about encountering the really difficult parts of humanity and bad stuff. It's just like an everyday thing.
which I think goes back to what I said before. The good
That's
news
right.
is we're wired for
We're
survival.
wired for survival. You will see that every time you step in the room.
We're wired for survival. Yeah. And yet worthy of love.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yep. All right. My question. This may be an easy one.
Good. Thank you.
What do you love most and what do you love least about leadership?
Oh.
I thought he was going to say about me.
challenging right
I was
now.
like, man,
It's so challenging to answer that question right now. But I appreciate the question. What do I love most about leadership? I love the ways in which leadership is creative. I love the ways in which there's opportunities to sort of throw things out into the mix, and team members can, take whatever's thrown out and shape it and throw something else back. And so the collaborative, creative process of leadership, I love that. I find that to be invigorating. But, this is maybe my own confession, having been married to Raj, who's been a community leader, and I have been his, quote, helpmate for half of our married lives up until the point where I went back to seminary and became a minister myself, and we transitioned out of the Seventh-day Adventist world. I could be a leader behind the scenes a little bit and not take when darts are thrown at the leader, I could dodge them. And even though there's so much resentment on so many levels because of the role models that I had to, or the gender roles that I had to fit into, or felt like I had to fit into, now it's like I'm out there, and when the darts are thrown, I'm the actual target, and I have to face that, and I have to, be comfortable with confrontation and comfortable with, this is what I said, and I'm standing by it, even though it may not be popular. I don't know if I hate that least, but I'm least comfortable with that, though I own it as part of leadership. And I'd like to get more comfortable with that.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
It's your turn, Jeff.
Even your body
Yay,
language.
Jeff.
You're farther
Jeff
away.
is
You've been pulling back physically this whole time.
He's
as it's
breaking
gotten
a sweat.
closer. You can do this.
all right, have at it.
We're all still
Go.
Okay, this is.
We are-
I don't think this will
wait.
be hard.
It's
I
this
think
way.
it's
Oh yeah,
Casey,
sorry. Then you'll like my question at the end, Jeff.
Jeff,
There you go.
Yay.
what has been your greatest joy as a pastor?
Ooh.
As a pastor,
Yeah. I mean, I see you as a pastor, period. So
course.
on your journey, what has been your greatest joy?
that's hard. That's a little like asking me which one of my daughters is my favorite.
Like Sophie's Choice.
I would say simply the just the simple opportunity, whatever that ended up looking like, whether it was being in community or being able to teach someone or being able to be taught by someone or just whatever, but just the privilege of being invited in to someone's story in a significant way as someone who plays a role, a major plot twist in their lives, right? Like I feel like when we are in a place of leadership in someone's life, they're giving us a lot of themselves. And the influence that we have there is powerful and can and often does change their story or become a significant plot point or driving force in their story. And that's a heavy weight to hold, but it's such, I don't know, it's an honor just to know that that's the role you get to play sometimes. And I think that's pretty great, especially for someone who spent a lot of his life avoiding his own story.
Thank you.
When we agree, do we snap? Is that what we do here?
Yeah, snap.
Jeff, I would like to know, because I see, never mind. I've known you for a long time, and again, I'm tapping my pen because I'm nervous. I've known you for a long time. I would like to know, just what is one thing, it doesn't have to be the most or the least or anything. What's one thing you are afraid of and one thing you are not afraid of? And I know we played this before with like the childhood fear stuff, but I'm talking like present. What's one random thing that you are afraid of and one thing you're not afraid of? Just to make it easy. That was a joke. That's not an easy question.
No, that's not very nice.
I'm your little brother. I get to do stuff. The reason I ask is I know that fear doesn't come necessarily easy, or it's not like a general emotion that you move in all the time. So I was just curious.
Actually, if fear is what drives me, I am afraid to fail. I am afraid to not do what I do well, whatever that is. And then what I don't fear is I'm not afraid to say what needs to be said, especially if it means someone else will be hurt if no one says something. I feel like my entire ministry career was driven by telling people in authority, you can't say that to them. Like you can't. Like they can't defend themselves, and you're hiding behind your structure, your authority, your position. And
I'm gonna snap for that. A lot of that, man.
And that I feel like, in fact, that's what threw me into ministry, was because of someone speaking into the life of someone that didn't feel they mattered, and doing that for someone else is more than just providing a fun group for them or anything, but providing them a voice when they need it.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right, Jeff. I'm going to ask you to go to 2 steps on this one.
Okay.
All right.
Oh no.
So give me a second to get the whole thing out. So what brings you deep joy? And I'm asking for 2 steps because I'm making a leap that your family is going to be one of those things, various elements. And that's fine. I talk about that. And then go to something outside your family that brings you deep joy.
So I guess what brings me deep joy is outside of my family is, but I guess this includes my family, is because I'm driven by the fear of failure. Success brings me joy. Like like when I was a kid, the movie moments for me were, where the hero finished their journey and they were successful, right? Like the completion of that, the moment, regardless of the context of what happening, like a building up to something that, yes, things can change, things can get better, things can move in this direction. So, just that story dynamic of success, however that looks, triumph. So yeah, so just moments of accomplishment, moments of confidence, moments that take you out of the norm of who you are, or better than that, moments that drag you into the things that make you feel the most free.
Yes.
And I don't think that can be done. Well, I can, but for me, it's not done because I read a good idea. It's because I've somehow engaged a story, whether that's someone else's story or a book or a movie or whatever, but where you're just like, you hear something that has this cathartic moment. And I would say that directly translates to my family, because my family represents that moment. I won't tell the whole story, but the day they were born, I almost lost all three of them. It was literally, not like hyperbole, it was the best and worst night of my life. Every moment that I see them together, they represent that moment of triumph, that moment of, in this, this is outside of everything. And
I'm going to start crying. I was there, and triumph is a great word for it.
Right.
That's really cool.
And I think that's why I've had such a problem growing up in a Pentecostal church, because it tries to put words to that moment. And it's like, shut your damn mouth. Look, enjoy. This is where we are, and just be in it. Because most moments in life are not like this. And if we try to chase these moments, they don't happen, or they're less, or they're a generic version of it. They just happen.
Yeah.
And those are the moments that bring me joy, because it's, my whole life is structured around control. And if those moments have reason and purpose and explanation, then there's a way to control it. And then it doesn't drag me into something outside of myself. It just basically perpetuates the things that, so that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thanks.
Yeah. So my question, it's interesting how our questions have a similar theme, sort of, some of them about joy. My question is about when life becomes too much, how do you recharge?
Well, there's a theme in my answers. Well, first I eat.
At the fair.
At the fair.
Story. It that's how I recharge. I go watch a movie. I read a comic book. I don't read a novel, because to me it's it's only engaging one part of me. I like to hear, see. So yeah, those are recharging moments for me. And then not just to engage the story, but then to talk about the story, to just look at it for what it is and look at the many layers of it. So, I mean, it's great. And then not only that, but then the what I love about film especially, so I guess movies, I'll just say that, movies, but what I love about film especially is that I can, the more and more I learn about the medium and all that kind of stuff, is that now it's not just the story on the screen. For me, it's the story that the director's telling. It's the story that the actor's telling. It's the story that the cinematographer's telling. How all of those are coming together to tell this one story. And if it's done well, it's done really well. And I just think that there's something in that medium that no other medium, in my opinion, can touch. Because there's so many dimensions to it that I've never been the type of person that can enjoy. If I enjoy something, it has many layers to it. I can't just enjoy one aspect of it. I can't just enjoy food. I want to cook. I can't just enjoy talking about like what we're doing here. I can't just enjoy the fact that I have all this. I want to learn how to do it. I want to get involved in the process. I want to know the art of every layer, not just the art of what I see. And to me, film exemplifies that layered approach to storytelling more than any other medium. And I love it. So it recharges me because clearly through these answers that I'm giving, like story drives me, story, narrative, because it's like I think what binds, you know, I think we've talked about this before in the podcast or before, like when I think of God, especially, I think less and less. In fact, at this point, I don't even think of God as a person, but God as like some force. And if I had to nail that force, I would say it's story. It's narrative. It's the binding thing that can be pliable enough to incorporate all. So yeah, so engaging in story, particularly film, I'd say it's.
Thank you.
Wow, this has been great.
It's not over yet.
Damn it.
Yeah, right. You're so ready for this.
I'm like,
You know you are. All right, let's see here. Who was it that asked Raj what people would think about him when he died? Who
I
had
did.
that question?
Bonnie.
You did?
I did.
I had the same exact question for you, Casey. I wrote it down this way. What's one thing you want people to remember about you? Maybe not even when you die, just like maybe you have friends who've been in your life for a while and then you kind of go different ways and they think about you. What's one thing you would want them to remember about you?
I would want them to know that they were seen and loved. And that be the thing, right? At the end of the day, that I show up for the people in my life and that I love them unconditionally. And that's something that I would say sums up my life and my ministry. I was seen and known and loved. And so that's what I would say.
I think you make people feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that comes from having people do that for me, right? And those are the people I seek out in my life. All of you know I'm a pretty intense person. Like, not much is left unknown. And it's because I believe in vulnerability. I believe that the only true way to know someone is to be real with them. Because all the rest, I mean, we live in a world full of casual things. But to show up and to offer yourself, your whole heart, invites someone else to do the same. And in that's what truth is to me. Yeah.
God, that's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a world full of casual things.
Yeah.
God, I love that.
All right, Casey. You often introduce yourself as Pastor Casey.
Yeah.
Say more about why that is.
So, Jeff, you talked about being one who wanted to offer love and to stand up for people. Like that was a part of your desire to do ministry. And I remember there being a time when I was talking to my dad about ministry. You know, I was like 16 or something, and I was debating whether I would go the non-denom route. I hadn't even come out yet, right? And my dad saying, like, you have to go to college. You have to get a graduate degree because there's power in that collar. And so when I say Pastor Casey, it's meant to be, I'm a pastor that it will say fuck, right? Like I say it in one way so that people are like, holy cow, who is this person that is so vulnerable, that has a really bad potty mouth, but also sees me, knows me, and loves me, right? But I also use that same I'm Pastor Casey when I'm dealing with city councilmen and, county supervisors as a way to say, I am here to hold you accountable and to ask you hard questions. And so for me, there's a sense of like, I use that title pastor as a way to welcome those who may have a different perception of what pastor means. And also as a way to challenge those who have a perception of what that pastor means.
Nice. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Casey, what I want to know from you is what has to be true about love in order for it to be love?
Oh my God.
Damn. Whoa.
You two were not kind to each other.
I meant that kindly
I love it.
because I really want to hear it.
Can you just say it again?
Yeah. What has what quality does love have to have in order for it to be love?
Vulnerability and mutuality, I think, are the two qualities that allow for love to be true. Because if it's not mutual, if it's not consensual, and there's any sort of weird power, then it's not real, right? And it also, love has to be willing to bear all and to be vulnerable and broken. So in gay world, there's a joke, right? That like, if you've dated for 1 year, it's really like you've dated for 2. It's like kind of like dog years. And there's a couple in one of my previous congregations who he and his partner have been together in literally 48 years, which is like 80 something years, right? 90 something years together in gay world. And I said, hey, what is the secret? And he said, the secret is that sometimes I'm going to have to carry my partner when he's not feeling like he can carry himself. And I trust and know that he'll do the same for me. I don't think that you're ever going to bring your 100, right? I mean, on your best days, we each can barely bring 60% of who we are. But it's trusting that we're in that process together, that I see you and that you see me, and that we are on this journey together. I mean, that's one of the things that I love best about you and Raj, that there's a sense of respect that you have for one another and the way in which you hold each other at high regard that I just deeply value. And so I think mutuality and vulnerability are the two things that make love true.
Thank you.
Casey, what are you doing when you feel the most free and untethered from the needs of others?
Dancing.
Oh.
I am dancing.
Wow.
I came out in Seattle, right? And I went to a very conservative Christian school. And so I often say that gay bars raised me, because that's the place that I could be my most free self. And so only up until recently, I couldn't get out and dance. I weighed 424 pounds. And recently I was able to dance for like 3 hours. And I felt free. I felt grounded in myself and connected to the people around me. Gay bars have always been church to me. But more than ever, being able to be my 32-year-old self, not afraid of my gray hairs, and my weight anymore, and to just be in that space and to dance. I'm dancing. My untethered self is dancing to Beyonce.
I like it. What's your favorite Beyonce song to dance to?
Probably All My Single Ladies.
Oh, yeah. It's gotta be. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Do you do the hand dance?
Of course I do.
I do it, but not well.
That's right. Me neither. But it feels.
And how does that go?
I was there for the last time you danced at that bar we went to together, and you definitely cut a rug, as they say.
Yeah.
As they say. So what about some of these questions we had written down but we didn't ask that are kind of
that's
second tier?
Right. Second tier questions.
Second
We're
tier
already
questions.
like...
We're
Yeah, I
way
think
over.
we're
I know,
yeah,
we're
This is
we're
a
done.
long
the
episode.
longest
Marathon.
episode there's ever been. Marathon for charity.
We shall
8
see.
hours.
Well, thank you, Irenicast listeners, for but thank you for just sitting with us. Like, we genuinely feel as we sit around this table, like we have an affinity, obviously, for one another and for the work that we're doing here on the show. And we feel the same about every single one of you that writes in to our Facebook page or our Twitter page or emails us or whatever. Like, we, like I talked about before, like, it's story. We're all we're hopefully creating I'm all flustered, but the Intersections logo that started this whole thing is a Venn diagram, right? That's essentially what it is. It's the people's stories coming together and finding that place of connection. And you've seen through these conversations and through how this has developed to where we are now, that this is our story, and we are creating this space for others' stories to interconnect, and we hope that is what we're accomplishing, and that is our goal as we move forward, is to create a place where people's stories matter, regardless of what anyone ever told you about your story and how insignificant or wrong or whatever they think it was or is. It's not, and this is what we do. So thank you for joining us. And I know this is a little different of an episode, but if anything we mentioned here, we'll put in the show notes. So if there's a song we mentioned or a book we mentioned or whatever, it'll be in the show notes at irenicast.com/135. Check out there, have all the other information to connect with us. And, yeah, that's our show for this week. Next week is going to be super special, but stay tuned for what we're going to be doing next week. As for now, Alan, how can everyone find what you have going on the interwebs?
Always and forever, it would be Facebook. That's where I post all my thoughts and interact with my people. I do want to give a shout out to someone who tweeted and said that they felt really reconnected to their tribe from interacting with Irenicast, and that is Miss Andrew Mermaid. It's a pretty cool tag on Twitter. But I always appreciate when people interact with our Facebook page. I do a lot of the curating behind that. So if you're feeling like you want to say something, hop on there and post, and I'll be swiftly.
He's our Facebook wizard.
Swiftly to respond.
And Bonnie, how about you?
I'm on Facebook as Bonnie Lang Rambob, and also at Parkside Community Church in Sacramento.
Casey?
You can find me at Rev Casey Tinnen on Twitter, Casey Tinnen on Facebook, and thequeerlyfaithfulpastor.com is my blog that I need to get going on, and then lumisucc.org.
And this is Raj. You can find me at facebook.com/RevRajRambob. Something to keep an eye out. I'm going to be co-facilitating a conversation, Biblical Sex and Marriage, a Horror Story, at Sacramento's Parkside Community Church next month. So stay tuned. It'll be open to all genders because it's typically a masculinity group, but we're opening up this conversation to anyone interested, and you would be welcome if you're in the area. So keep your eyes open.
Follow Raj for all the details on when that's coming out. And as for me, you can follow me on all the socials at Jeff Manildi, and on the second and fourth Thursday of every month, my other podcast, Divine Cinema. We're coming back here in February. So on the 2nd February of this month, we will be doing God's Not Dead 3, which ended up being a very interesting episode, and a little bit more divided than you would expect as we get into that. So if you're interested in good and bad films surrounded around faith, check us out there. And
God's back for the third time and really pissed off.
That's right. And as for next week, Alan and I are taking the week off. We're going on assignment.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
And it'll be the first episode sans Jeff and Alan, and just one. We're not leaving the show or anything, but since we have these wonderful new co-hosts in Bonnie, Raj, and Casey, they've got a topic picked out. They're ready to go. So next week they're gonna take over.
My assignment is sleeping on the couch and listening to their episode. Just so you know, I'm going to be resting up.
My assignment is the same, just to edit it. So be kind. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we've decided, I know that we talked when we got together in December, and we had our episode where we announced everyone going forward and how we were going to work that and whether we were going to rotate and all this kind of stuff. We're not going to. We feel so far that having the 5-person booth is the best way to move forward. So there's just 5 voices, every now and then, schedules permit, one of us might not be there and whatever, but we are Irenicast, like we say in the beginning, and we want to continue to be in every way, shape, or form, but we also want you to give ample opportunity, because Alan and I have had 100 episodes to be on our own and do our own thing, and we want to make sure that we create a space that is ours, not anything else. So
all 5 of us, we really appreciate all the ways that you all have kind of become the life of this podcast and all of the work that we do together. It's incredible. It definitely doesn't feel separate. And I think we're going to do bonus episodes too, where we break off and some of us have smaller conversations throughout.
Right. Bonus episodes are coming. We want you to get to know our new co-hosts as much as possible. So I'll be conducting separate interviews for each of our new co-hosts. That'll be more just centered around them. And then Alan and I are going to do a retrospective bonus episode. I guess we're gonna kind of get together. We're gonna go old school. Who knows? Maybe we can invite a third guest
Oh, where
that
in the world?
make a little appearance. We don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
But yeah, so we got some bonus episodes, and then going forward, we may have some bonus episodes. We're really trying to play with the format of the show, so we're open to all of your suggestions and stories and everything that you want to. So contact the show in any way that you're most comfortable with, and we can't wait to hear from you. So for this week, I'm Jeff.
My name is Alan.
I'm Bonnie.
Casey?
This is Raj.
Thanks for joining the conversation.